What's up everybody, man back, welcome to a brand new video, and today we are diving on into Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2's first trailer. The Monsterverse is back in a big way, with the first explosive trailer for Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 being released, promising insane Titan action, a new monstrous villain coming from the sea, potential global chaos, and Kong going on a rampage. So today let's go through the 63 things you may have missed in the new Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 trailer. And like all great breakdowns, this starts before the trailer even begins. Huge shout out to Kaiju News Outlet, as they were given the exclusive teaser for this trailer, followed shortly by a Monarch Level 4 report written by Deputy Director Verdugo, seemingly confirming her return for Monarch Season 2, stating that an incident happened near Outpost 33, aka Skull Island, with aquatic activity. Deputy Director Verdugo is not all sunshines and rainbows. While she is an overall honorable leader for Monarch, she's also quite the dismissive one, ignoring signs that people survived in Axis Mundi, focusing only on her bottom line, trying to seek her way up the Monarch ladder until she is the official director in Serizawa's position, and of course imprisoning Li Sha for decades. This report confirms sonar readings off the coast of Outpost 33 with multiple subsurface tremors consistent with large aquatic MUTOs. I love that we're returning to calling them MUTOs, as well as at this point in the timeline we're still shifting into calling them Titans. And not every MUTO is a Titan. It's reported that dangerous superspecies are active near the South Pacific Islands, with seismic anomalies moving toward Skull Island, implying the danger is coming to Kong. Many people think that this is paying off the Godzilla King of the Monsters end credits news articles, which were written about seismic activity under Skull Island, with Titans being drawn there, but this all happens after the mass awakening, and Monarch Season 2 should be set around 2017, 2 years before Gojira is released. We also have two still images that are not part of the trailer. The first is this HD image showing Kong with his 2021 design, but in the 2017 aesthetic, with the perfect 2017 color palette and sky textures being brought back from Kong's Skull Island, as Kong beats down on something unseen here with what almost looks like a smile on his face. This shot mirrors some of the moments of Kong versus the helicopters in Kong's Skull Island, but it's most likely Kong attacking another Titan. Some debris can be seen coming up around him here, which of course could mean that they're the remains of the Apex base or some man-made structure, but I think it's more likely that Kong is kicking up a lot of environmental dirt and debris. This shot also parallels some of the shots of Kong versus the Kraken from the Skull Island anime, which of course could be a very important part of this discussion, as later on we see something that looks like the first live-action adaptation of that Kraken. The second is the thumbnail for this, showing Kong on what appears to be Skull Island, given the familiar terrain, colors, and time this show takes place. Kong has not left the island before Godzilla vs. Kong. This shot is almost identical to a few of the shots from Godzilla Kong the New Empire, and much like there, is most likely Kong getting rushed by an oncoming Titan. This could tie into the moment of the sound wave blasting through the island seen later. The trailer kicks off with an attack on the beach, as we see a bunch of seagulls flock away from land, implying danger is coming. Meanwhile, Jack Johnson's Horizon has been defeated plays. The shots here mirror many of the visuals from Jaws, with something lurking below the water, and some of the shots from Jurassic World reminds me of that moment when the mosasaur comes out of the ocean. This turns out to be a recovered Monarch clip of these surfers' final moments before they're killed by some super species. This reminds me of the Godzilla King of the Monsters ARG, with the surfer spotting Godzilla, or the Titans being spotted in areas and ways like this, including the found footage aesthetic. The boat warning them of danger appears to be the same boat from the end of the trailer, which is then attacked by the Kraken, meaning that the audio telling them to return to the beach could be taken from a different sequence. Or it could be that that boat does not know that the danger also awaits them. They're warned that this is a high Titan area, but they don't appear to be in any rush. Theoretically, the MUTOs and Godzilla are the only Titans they're aware of, so maybe they're just not afraid of Godzilla, viewing him as a hero. This is said to be 4,800 miles off the coast of Skull Island, and this is most likely the new hidden village that falls under attack by a mythical sea Titan, which was first revealed through the plot synopsis of this upcoming season through the press release. A bunch of creatures erupt from the sand like trapdoor crabs in the Skull Island anime, or like the mantle Mantle Claw in Season 1 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and I'm thinking that this could fulfill a similar part in the show. I think that this could very well be our season hook, just like the Mantle Claw was the hook to Season 1. The creatures are hard to make out, but there are dozens, if not hundreds, of small blue monsters that look like running sea urchins with long tentacles and a tunnel-like mouth filled with many rows of razor-sharp teeth. They attack in packs and are far more animalistic and vicious than many of the other creatures we've seen in the Monsterverse. We then see Kong going on an all-out attack at nighttime, slamming the ground and destroying a man-made structure. At this point in time, we only know of one man-made structure on Skull Island, and we know it doesn't seem to last by the time Monarch builds the Biodome on Skull Island in GVK, so this could be the end of Apex's outpost. Kong has shown no signs of aggression towards humanity unless provoked in the Monsterverse, meaning that this is very likely seconds after the ending of Season 1, with Kong responding to the Axis Mundi portal erupting on the island. Considering Godzilla was on the other end of that portal when it opened up, this could be Kong sensing Godzilla and responding to the threat that is the King of the Monsters for the very first time. Kong is said to have sensed Godzilla's frequent patrols around Skull Island in the Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla x Kong novelizations, and so this could be his first taste of his upcoming battle. He possibly thinks that a Titan has been summoned here and is hiding in the facility, and so he's trying to destroy it, trying to get to it, or he realizes that humanity is tampering with this portal that could bring about a worse Titan onto the island than even the skull crawlers he's had to fight already. So maybe he's trying to get ahead of things by destroying the facility so they can't bring more things out of Axis Mundi. It's also important to know here, we're told in Godzilla vs. Kong that there are no usable portals to Hollow Earth on Skull Island, and in Kingdom Kong we learned that the only Hollow Earth portal on the island exists deep within a cave that is protected by Camazods. So this Axis Mundi entrance has to be closed up at some point during this season. In what appears to be the same sequence based on the rubble on the ground in the background, our modern characters retreat together. Based on their outfits, this appears to be exactly where Season 1 left off. Keiko even still has dirt from Axis Mundi on her face. Remember, this is Keiko's first time in the present day, her first time learning the fate of Monarch, her first time hearing about Monarch's rival, Apex, her reunion with her son, potentially her first time seeing a Titan this large since Godzilla, her first time being this close to an Alpha Titan, and her first time visiting the death site of her husband Bill Randa. She is going to have lots of baggage this season, and yet her face is one of amazement and admiration before fear, showing once again how deeply she cares for the Titans, just like how protective she was over Godzilla. It is likely this season will begin with Kong destroying the top secret Apex facility on Skull Island, leaving them without contact to the outside world. The characters will most likely get separated in the aftermath, leaving them stranded in different areas on Skull Island, needing to find their ways back to each other or to an extract point, just like Kong's Skull Island, which could be a cool spin on that movie's events. We see what appears to be a burning facility in the background, and again, the Apex facility is the only one it really could be, as Kong roars at this aerial vehicle. Now, of course, if we are considering the Kaiju News outlet report to be 100% official canon, which it doesn't seem to be considering it confirms he's the one that dies during the opening events of this trailer, it's possible that that could also be Outpost 33 in the background, as according to that report, Outpost 33 has already been established on Skull Island, and as we know in the canon of the Monsterverse, Monarch does establish Outpost 33 on Skull Island sometime around or after 2012. So it's very likely that one place our characters could be heading is Monarch's outpost on the island, assuming it hasn't been abandoned for some reason, even temporarily, before Monarch eventually moves back onto the island to build the Biodome. As seen in Kong Skull Island following the 1973 expedition, Kong harbors a hatred for flying vehicles until the events of Godzilla vs. Kong, which this shot does parallel some of the shots of Kong destroying some of the helicopters in Kong Skull Island, but it more accurately mirrors the shot of Kong destroying the Heave in Godzilla vs. Kong, and makes Kong seem more monstrous than he has since Kong Skull Island's first introduction sequence, calling back the type of visuals that we're used to actually associating with Godzilla, such as Godzilla's attack on the French nuclear plant in Godzilla Kong the New Empire. Without a character there to root us in Kong's emotional journey, he is just as monstrous and fearsome as the rest of the Titans of the Monsterverse. It's also important to note, Kong's eyes look redder here than usual, so maybe he's enraged by something, or experiencing some sort of symptoms from either a neurological weapon or attack, or even from Axis Mundi radiation, or it could just be those flames glimmering in his eyes. We then see another, or the same, Axis Mundi portal erupting on the island. This appears to be Skull Island in the daytime after Kong has destroyed the facility, and is most likely Li Sha re-emerging to the surface. Maybe he followed another Titan up. Maybe he was sucked back into the portal just like in the 1980s. We know he's previously survived multiple trips from Axis Mundi to the surface without the use of a pod. So it's possible after falling off the pod at the end of season 1, he just got sucked in through a draft behind it. Alternatively, this could be an attempt to get back into Axis Mundi to escape the dangers of Skull Island and then portal back to the surface through Axis Mundi later. This does seem like an incredibly risky maneuver and a good way to lose a few years, so it's highly unlikely that this would be the strategy to escape Skull Island. It seems that this portal erupting creates a massive gust of wind that rushes over the island, perhaps awakening some threats in the process, or we could be witnessing a Sonic-based attack from our new Titan villain. Skull Island looks noticeably less Vietnam-like in these shots, and it's probably because they did not shoot Monarch Season 2 in Vietnam, where most of Kong's Skull Island was filmed, so the aesthetic of Skull Island might look a little different, unfortunately. Kate, cut up and dirty, is hit by a big gust of wind. Once again, could be the same burst created by that Axis Mundi portal, or it could be something more dangerous. The way she's running a few shots from now seems to be a direct continuation of this moment, implying she's actually being chased by a Titan, meaning it could be a Sonic-based attack, as her eyes at this moment appear too low for it to be Kong, but it could be him as well, as we'll talk about in a minute. There's a quick shot of a Chinese or Japanese street under attack in a very classic Godzilla-looking visual. It actually reminds me of some of the shots of Godzilla attacking Hong Kong in GVK. If they are following established canon, there are no public Titan attacks until 2019 during the Mass Awakening following G-Day, although we know Monarch Season 1 occasionally retconned some things in some ways that were very hard for some fans to reconcile with, myself included. So that could be happening again here. Maybe this is a Titan that goes unseen following its attack. Maybe it's covered up and viewed as a terrorist attack or something like that. Maybe it's seen as a major accident, as the Titan maybe has some cloaking abilities, or blends into the darkness, or never is fully seen or confirmed by people. Or this could be jumping forward to the Mass Awakening, if we follow the established canon. The only Titan we know that attacks Japan so far in the Monsterverse is Yamata no Orochi, the 8-headed dragon, which emerges from Outpost 91 at Mount Fuji during the Mass Awakening. It does seem like we see a Titan's foot coming down in the background, but of course that could just be rubble. Alternatively, if this is China, this could be a jump forward to the present day of the Monsterverse. China has never really been attacked in the lore of the Monsterverse other than in Godzilla vs. Kong, which could be cool to revisit an alternate angle of that Godzilla vs. Kong battle, although that was in Hong Kong. This could be following a time skip, once again maybe using that Axis Mundi portal to leap from the past back into the present day of the Monsterverse, or closer to the present day, where the characters witness this attack go down. Once again, it could also be a jump forward to the Mass Awakening, where we just simply learn here that there was an unknown Titan that attacked China. Abaddon reportedly came from China, so she could be leaving China here, heading to wherever she goes before the events of Kong Survivor Instinct. Or finally, this could just simply be a nightmare sequence or a vision about Titan attacks. Multiple of the characters in this show suffer from Titan-induced trauma, with Kate previously having experienced flashbacks to G-Day, and this could be building upon that, with her witnessing a Godzilla attack in a city that he has not visited yet as part of her trauma. That one I actually think would be kind of the coolest. It seems we're returning to Li Sha's time in Axis Mundi here back in the past. Despite spending a week in Axis Mundi, we've only seen a few minutes of his time down there. At some point he learns that Godzilla's a protective force trying to keep balance on the planet, and this could be that time. It's either that or he's trying his way to get out by exploring different Axis Mundi portals, although that seems highly unlikely based on the way he tells his time in Axis Mundi in Season 1. Based on the plot synopsis, the ripple effects of the past make waves in the present day. It's also not impossible for some weird time warping scenario to cause Li Sha's past to enter the present day, where he meets his older self and then winds up forgetting it before being sent back to the past. I kinda hope they don't go that angle, because time travel and Godzilla haven't gone together particularly well in the past, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. An awesome low angle then shows Kong beating his chest, seemingly preparing for war against a Titan based on his eye line. He's on Skull Island, so it could be that the new squid monster we see in a second is able to travel on land like its apparent minions. And very interestingly, Kong is using a modified version of his 2017 roar here, which of course could just be for the trailer, or it could mean we're finally returning to the superior Kong roars from the 2017 film, which I would be all for. Of course, this show is still bridging the gap between Kong Skull Island and Godzilla vs. Kong, and it doesn't really make sense that Kong would completely abandon his previously established vocal range and sense of vocal communication from Kong's Skull Island entirely by the time GVK rolls around, so this could be the first way to reintroduce Kong's previously established roars into the new modern time period of this series, just like how Godzilla's classic Toho roars have been reworked into his vocabulary in the current MonsterVerse films. Kate books it from something off-screen, potentially one of those minion monsters, many of those minion monsters, or many of the other deadly predators on Skull Island. I think that this would be an awesome place to introduce live-action death jackals for the first time. As she runs, she looks up, meaning she could be fleeing from Kong himself or another Titan that's attacking. This also could be her getting caught between a battle with Kong and an enemy Titan, just like our characters at the end of Kong's Skull Island. The present-day Lee Shaw, played by Kurt Russell, then appears on the surface, seemingly being chased on a boat. I've theorized in the past multiple different and very reasonable ways that Lee Shaw very well could have and did survive the ending of Monarch Season 1. And his arrival on the surface here seems to be shown earlier in the trailer. The only thing that's a real mystery to me is the boat he's being attacked on. It could be his attempt to escape Skull Island with his friends, but it is cut to seem like his ship is being attacked by a sea monster. Although I would say the ship being attacked in the next shot seems far different than the shot Lee's on. Lee seems to be steering the ship from the outside, whereas that one appears to be steered from the inside, not from where Lee's standing. Lee also appears to probably be moving faster than that big boat could go. This could always be a flashback, of course. Lee Shaw has escaped Monarch's prison camp multiple times over the years and has made it as far as Korea in order to form a friendship with Dooho, so it's possible we're fleshing that out, and in that case, bring Dooho back. I love that guy. I would love to see him back. And the final shots of this trailer reveal massive tentacles emerging from the ocean, covered in serrated tooth-like edges wrapping around the boat, potentially the Monarch ship or the Coast Guard ship from the beginning of the trailer, or potentially an Apex ship trying to flee Skull Island. This plotline could always parallel King Kong versus the Sea Monster, the initial idea for Ebra Horror of the Deep, where King Kong would battle Ebra, who was, of course, trapping our characters on Lecce Island. Of the current monsters we're aware of that this could be, the Kraken Nakika comes to mind. She may have been around doing things in 2017, as she didn't have all that sophisticated of a containment system built around her in 2019, and Sarazawa and Graham report that only most of the 17 and counting discovered before Godzilla King of the Monsters were in hibernation, implying that some of them weren't. Of course, we know Kong isn't, Godzilla isn't, but some of the others appear not to be either, although Nakika doesn't have serrated blades, and is far more colorful than this Titan, although she's also known to change her color. This could be a sort of reboot of the Skull Island anime, and this could be a reintroduction of the Kraken in live action with an altered design. The Kraken attacks the Once Upon a Maritime in an almost identical fashion in episode 1 of the Skull Island anime, and the Kraken does feature these types of serrated spikes and purple color schemes seen here. Taking the expanded canon into account though, the Kraken is already dead by now, and personally I don't think fans would be very excited to find out that the Skull Island anime is being so deliberately and unapologetically retconned in Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Fans are already annoyed enough about Legacy of Monsters striking Awakening from canon, and I think they would have a really hard time swallowing the pill that this show would be selling, which is that the only things that matter to canon are the live action entries of this universe, and not the comics, video games, or animated series. When working on Season 1 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, the VFX artists and producers did admit to taking major inspiration from pre-existing monsters of the Monsterverse, stating that they looked for any opportunities they could to reintroduce Titans we've already become familiar with, where appropriate, while also seeking chances to create new Titans. So these older Titans are still on the table. They also stated that early on they were considering using comic Titans, while still not considering the comics those Titans are from as canon. Titans like Shinomura and seemingly Kamazods were in consideration, at the very least to be used as inspiration, but eventually decided against. Which means the most likely scenario is that this enemy is a big version of the mini creatures we see at the start of this trailer. That's my personal theory. It's that those little monsters at the start of this trailer are this thing's babies or minions, and they are smaller versions of the big guy who we see here teased. It could also be an unknown monster. This of course marks Kong's third sea-based opponent in the Monsterverse, with the first being the Kraken, the second being Godzilla, and the third being this guy, should they fight, and fourth if we count Tiamat. If we consider all the times Kong's fought squids as well, we're getting up there. Then the new Monarch Legacy of Monsters logo is shown, coursing with blue Axis Mundi styled energy, implying that our time down there is not over, and surrounded by a very blue familiar King of the Monsters styled fog and smoke, once again implying that this season is bridging the gap from Legacy of Monsters Season 1 and leading directly into Godzilla King of the Monsters. While this trailer does seem Kong focused, and producers have confirmed this season will be a bit more in Kong's wheelhouse than Godzilla's, there's nothing to fear. Monarch Season 1's first 2 trailers only reveal footage from the first 6 episodes of that 10-episode season without revealing anything from the second half of that show. It's very likely that this is all taking place within the first 6 episodes once again, without any reveals of what happens in the back half of this 10-episode season. The season arc appears to be a mythical sea titan starts causing trouble, and there are mysterious circumstances surrounding it, building up to a big reveal. Meanwhile, Kong attacks the Apex facility, forcing a retreat onto Skull Island, separating our characters and leaving them in immense danger. Specifically, Kate seems to be left stranded by herself. They struggle to survive and come back together. Meanwhile, Lee Shaw emerges from Axis Mundi, and they somehow escape Skull Island. Finally, the trailer ends with Godzilla's roar closing things out, confirming that Godzilla will be in season 2 of this show. It's not switched to being a Kong show. It is still all about the human characters, their drama, and Monarch. It truly does not matter which monster is in the lead, whether Godzilla or Kong. The true star of this show is the human characters. In particular, the season finale of Monarch reframes the entire series as a story about Keiko Mira, aka Keiko Randa, and Lee Shaw. They are the ones we should be focused on here. But of course, Godzilla still seems to be coming down the line and very well could handle the back half of this season. Meanwhile, Kong leads the front half of this journey. What are your thoughts on the new Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 trailer? Comment down below. What are your theories? I would love to hear it and keep the conversation going with you guys. As always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the patrons on Patreon that I'm able to continue to make videos like this for you. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man out.